Good morning, everybody. How we doing?
Morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Heather Mueller, what's up?
Good morning.
I
Great
know.
to
Driving
see
to
you.
work.
I'll call you right
Great
after
to
this
see
is over.
Just as a reminder, if we can't see your face, just come on in so you can hear our voices now. I appreciate you being here, Heather. Thank you. So if you're ever driving and you want to tune in, just be there and listen, right?
Yep. A lot of times I like to listen just on a speaker while I'm at my other job.
Love it. Love it. All right, we're going to try something new today. Candace, you're in charge.
I would like to, just the same way we do one thing, I want to know one good thing from every single person on here. So Heather, we're going to start with you. What's one good thing either for today or something that happened? It doesn't have to be real estate. I don't care if it's, I bought a new pair of sweatpants and I love them. I'm going to live in them.
Something that happened today already?
No, something that either happened before or something good you're looking forward to.
Well, I'm learning from you how to work with a cash buyer, and we're going to go look at a house tonight.
Love that. Lorenda, how about you?
I have in the past 24 hours, well, 12 hours, learned so much more about contracts. So just going through a process for a buyer that's helping you learn a lot.
Okay. Yeah, learn by doing. That's kind of the best way. And as long as you've got somebody behind you so you're not practicing, right?
Thanks.
Good job. Good job. Kathy McLean, how about you? What's one good thing, or what's good things that you can talk about?
Well, I can say I've actually got myself organized. Yeah. That's a good thing.
Applause for that. Okay, Jenny, what's a good thing for you?
This past weekend, I spent some time with 4 of my friends. We've been friends for over 20 years and had a really good conversation with one of them about how excited I am learning about real estate and just my business and everything. So
Fantastic. Where are they all from here?
no, 2 of them are in Alabama. So I was in Alabama this weekend.
Oh, wow. Okay. What part of Alabama?
Coleman, little bitty town. Nothing there but cows.
I love that kind of thing. Tracy, how about you?
I'm working with 2 potential buyers from an open house this week. I'm following up with them again today to have a conversation about coming to get the buyer's brokerage agreement, right?
Fantastic. And Ryan, how about you? Something good that you're looking forward to or something good that's happened?
Did you just say me?
Yes.
Sorry, your thing cut out. Yes, no, I had a really busy open house this weekend, and I've got definitely someone that a neighbor that wants to sell and buy a new place, and then some other people from Tennessee that need an agent, and we're in town looking, but they want to move here because their grandkids are here. So and like 30 other people to follow up with. So it was good. I mean, a lot of those people do have agents, but so they might not be good, but I feel like, okay, we got some work to do here today.
It sounds like the work that you've been doing, and you've been very, very consistent, is starting to pay off. And you're starting to see some opportunities that weren't there when you were new. Is that what you feel like's happening?
Yes, and I'm just trying to, I think I have better systems in place too for the follow-up, and you just got to figure out like the best ways to do it and what are your options and what do you really need to ask people so that you're not wasting your time on some people and focusing on the right people too. So, a lot of that's just learning.
I'm listening to a book called The Pumpkin Plan. I think I've talked about this before, and what he talks about is how what he was talking about this morning is how when we start something, we tend to accept jobs or people that aren't right for us. And that getting clear on your systems and what your offering is. He was using the example of a builder, and where the builder had developers who were delaying things and had a long pay cycle, so they weren't paying for 240 days, and then they would have rush orders and changes and all that kind of thing. So what he did was he created systems where he would have, to get rid of those clients without hurting their feelings, he created fees for change orders and fees for rush orders, and then he had a specific pay cycle that if you didn't do that, then you couldn't belong. But long story short is that he created systems out of learning about what he needed, and that's what it sounds like you're doing. So applause for that.
Yep.
And if you have any follow-up tips you'd like to share, I know everybody would be anxious to hear those. Okay.
What about you?
No, I'm going to go to Ebony next.
Oh, okay.
Ebony, tell us something good.
I got a listing over the weekend.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah, so I'm definitely happy about that.
Congrats. Tell us a little bit about that.
So weird story, someone who I've been courting, he pretty much listed with another agent, and I was in my feelings a little bit over that one, but I thought about what we've been talking about, not being attached to the outcome. So as quick as I lost that one, someone else, it was a referral, and she gave this lady my phone number months ago. And my referral, she texted me like, hey, she's about to call you. Are you available? And I'm like, yes. So I talked to the lady for about a good 45 minutes. It was a great conversation, explained the process through and through on how everything works, explain the commission. And she's like, hey, let's do it. So I sent her the contract. She signed it. I'm going to see her house next Sunday. So it was great. And I will be sending her my referral. I'm definitely sending her a gift today.
Awesome.
Yeah. Where is the listing?
It's in Woodstock.
Oh, so that's a great area.
Yes, and her home, just the way that she described it, is amazing. And then she was just sending me photos. She's literally leaving everything because she wants to, she's getting married and she wants to be in New Orleans. And she's just like, I have so much stuff, but I don't want to take it. So I'm like, hey, well, we could do an estate sale. So I'm going to just focus a lot on helping her relieve everything that's on her plate so she can focus on moving to New Orleans and getting married.
Wow.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm going to say something pretty controversial here. Remember, you're just the real estate agent. You're not the estate sale coordinator, right? You give her resources, but don't do the whole thing for her. That's not the job of a real estate agent. You won't be able to scale if you're doing that kind of stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you don't know someone that does estate sales, I know somebody good.
Yes.
If you can share the information, that'd be great.
Yeah, and you know, she's retired now, but for a long time I had on my team page for my pre-listing packet a home organizer, and she helped everybody. She could help you if you wanted to downsize, if you wanted to do something like an estate sale, or if you wanted to just, you know, clean up your garage. She did everything. So I'm on the lookout for a new home organizer because everybody needs one, right? I mean, Kathy, when you said you got organized, I was thinking of her. So good job. Okay, Bill, what's your good thing?
Mine's kind of stupid, but I got these new pants that look like dress pants, but feel like you're wearing pajamas. They're really nice, and I really enjoy them.
Stupid. That's not
Yeah,
stupid.
they're the really stretchy ones, and everyone thinks I'm dressed up, but I'm really like just totally living large. It's pretty cool.
I have this big Turkish robe that somebody gave, well, a family member gave me for Christmas. It's Turkish cotton. It's big and thick, and I love it because it's so warm. And this morning I was like, honey, can you lock the door behind me? And he comes down in my robe. I was like, because he wouldn't get one, so I get it.
Yep,
My good thing for today is I'm starting this 5-day challenge with you all. I'm excited to see what comes of it because I know if you do the work, you're going to get business from it. And with that, we'll go right into the content. So this is Ryan, you've seen this a couple of times, but I think we can, one of the things I want to say is that this is a 5-day, primarily video challenge. You all know how I feel about video. Part of the reason why is because in the book, 7 Levels of Communication, he talks about the levels of the communication. And the very top way that we can communicate is face-to-face. And video text is the next best thing to face-to-face because they are seeing our face, they are seeing our expressions. It's kind of like being on the Zoom call. It's not the same as being in the office with you, but it's next best because you can see me and you just don't hear a voice. So the very first thing is, if you haven't done videos, is having the mindset of change. I resisted videos for so long. Does anybody else in here resist videos?
I was.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
yes. And part of the reason, what do you think the reason is that we resist it so much?
Being self-conscious about the way it is delivered.
It's kind of like if we walked around everywhere and we had a mirror behind the person we were talking to. But when we don't have that mirror, it doesn't stop us, right? We're just who we are, and we just say what we say, and we just communicate the way we communicate. So one of the things I would say is that if you can just imagine that when you walk around, when you're talking to people, there's a mirror behind them. You'll either start to get really self-conscious, or you'll be like, oh gosh, I'm tired of that. I can't deal with that anymore. And then you'll start like, okay, video might be a way. And the other thing that would happen is if you do a video and you start to do videos, send them to each other. You can send them to each other just for practice. That's not as scary as maybe sending them out, but I'm okay with you doing that. I'm going to tell this study. I think this is so impactful. There's a doctor called Alan Deutschman, and he took a study of, this was of 100 people, and they were told, if you don't change your lifestyle, you're going to die, because they had heart issues. Was 93% of them could not or would not change, knowing they were going to die within a certain amount of time. They could not change. So the only 7% that changed because they had coaching, accountability, and support. And that's why this group is so important. First of all, we have the support of each other, and we have accountability. So when you think about things that you're not doing that you want to do and what's holding you back, think about that study and reach out for help. That's my little message there. Okay.
And then, explain the 5-day challenge.
Pardon?
Can you explain the 5-day challenge? I don't think I'm aware. Maybe I missed it.
I'm going to get into that. The 5, and Marquia, tell us something good. We missed you. Tell us something good that's happening. Oops, you froze. Okay, there. As soon as you unfreeze, Marquia, I want to hear what something good is. So the 5-day challenge is a 5-day video challenge, video text challenge primarily. It's a social media challenge, and I'll get into the homework in a minute. But I also want you to think about identifying limiting beliefs and rephrase them. For instance, when I first started doing videos, I was like, well, a lot of these people haven't seen me in a while. I'm older. I look a little different. And so I was very self-conscious about it. But that's a limiting belief. My friends are going to love me the way I am, or they're not. And if they don't, they're not my friends, right? So one of the things, how many people in here took Bold? Okay, well, in Bold, they give you a bracelet, and I don't have my bracelet with me, but this is a technique that actually works, and this is for reframing your limiting beliefs. And so what you do is, the minute you start to say, like if you want to do your video and you're like, oh gosh, I can't do the video, I'm too this, or I'm too that, or I'm not enough this, or I'm not enough that, you snap the bracelet, you put it on your other wrist, and you reframe it with, I am all that, or I am this, I have this, and you reframe that limiting belief. If you can get in the habit of this, first of all, you'll start to get very aware of your limiting beliefs, especially around social media and video. And then you'll also start to have some self-talk that's better. So I hope that all of you will at least get a rubber band or some sort of bracelet that you can snap and do that so you can catch yourself. It's one of the techniques that Tony Robbins uses, and he's extremely successful with shifting people from where they were to where they want to be. So I hope you'll take that very seriously. Also, I want to say, I think it's really important to celebrate success. And that's why I wanted to start this morning off just talking about the good things that are happening, because we all have good things that are happening. And Markia, this is a perfect time. You're not frozen. So tell us something good.
Well, I had on Friday that was in Macon and it went really well. Something that was on the verge of falling through and was able to pull it off. So happy about that. And I had the seller to contribute like $7,100 towards closing. So
wow. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was a condo, and my client, this was the one that it was falling through because of the fidelity insurance. So my client ended up having to bring 10% down versus the 5%. And we pretty much had been in negotiation stage or on the contract since I think the beginning of November. We were supposed to close in December, and then we changed lenders. Same situation happened. And so, we just let them know, like, hey, in order for us to close, my client needs some help with closing costs, and they contributed $7,100. So
wow. Good job.
It was really good.
That's definitely something good. Good job.
And two buyers. I've been out all weekend looking for one client, but I have two buyers that I'm currently working with, trying to help them find a place by February, the end of February, hopefully. And also this week I'll be going into a life insurance conference because I'll be doing that as well too. So got a lot of things going on.
I love that. Congratulations. That's fantastic. And this is where I think it's really important that we understand that it's important to celebrate our successes, however little they are. When we have a baby step and we accomplish that baby step, to celebrate that it's important. It's very important. And that's why I think this starting off with something good, because we want to celebrate every day and celebrate the growth that we're making, because every single person on this call, Bill included, me included, we're growing and learning every single day. And that's to be celebrated, because there are people, and I'm not comparing, but I'm just saying there are people who have given up and they're in front of their television watching soap operas all day and wishing that life were different. And they can't seem to do it. So the fact that you all and we all are growing and learning is pretty spectacular. So for instance, if I set a goal to call 25 people and I only call 10, well, celebrate that, because calling 10 is better than calling nothing. So that's a great place to reframe. So if you're like, oh, well, I only called 10 people, well, snap it, reframe it and go, I called 10 people. Whoop, whoop. That's 10 more people than I would have talked to this morning, right? So I want you to start celebrating those little wins if you're not already doing them. And I mean, like, it's so easy to go, well, I got that done, and be task oriented and then move on to the next task. But those tasks can be celebrated, and that makes it a lot more fun and a lot more purposeful, I think. So, and research shows when you celebrate success, you get more of it. It's abundant mind thinking. It's abundant mindset. So celebrate the successes. High energy. So high income comes from high energy, right? It doesn't mean you can't be laid back. It doesn't mean you can't be laid back, but it means that when you're going into something, you don't go in going, oh, I have to do this. It means you go into it going, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm setting my intention around this. I'm going to be the best I can be in this particular moment and do what I said I was going to do with what I can bring to it, and trying to have high energy. And also when you're talking to people, if you're on a listing appointment, and I'm not talking about mirroring here, but if you're on a listing appointment and you're like, yeah, the comps say that you should probably be listed between this and this, versus well, the comps show that you should be listed between this or this. Which person do you want to talk to? You want to talk to the person who's smiling and engaging. We want to be around people that make us feel good, right? And lift us up. So that's a shift that you can make. I remember as a flight attendant that it would be dark 30. You know, we have gotten up at 3:30 to be on the plane by 5:30 in Kansas City this was when I was new, on a DC-9, and the floor was frozen. The coffee, the water for the coffee was frozen. Your feet were frozen because you were walking on a frozen floor. and you had to be in the mindset of greeting people and being like, hi, welcome aboard. We had to physically and mentally do a shift, right? You had to take that coat off. And I think of figure skaters all the time. I think, well, first of all, it's a sport where you freeze because you're wearing a skimpy little costume. Secondly, there's waves involved, so you can really get cut up. And fourth, it hurts when you fall because that's a hard surface. But there are people who excel at that, and they shift their mindset and they you can see them. Linda, I'm going to mute you, okay?
Sorry.
Thanks. You can see them when they go on the ice, take a moment to physically kind of shift their energy into what they need to be doing. We can emulate those high performers and do that when we go on a listing appointment, because this is somebody's biggest investment. So for us to go in and think it's about us is, I think, a disservice. So when we go in with the energy of, I'm going to help you, I'm excited about helping you, and I think that's the message here. Any questions or anybody have any comments about that? Okay.
I really like when you go in there thinking it's all about you, that's the wrong approach.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think it's incredibly obvious when you do that.
Yeah, it is.
So you go in there differently. It's kind of like we heard last week in Aaron Kaufman's presentation, is you go in with the idea of why you do what you do and how you do what you do, rather than like what you do and how great you are. And when you go in with that attitude, you lead with questions rather than statements of, you know, what you've done and what you will do and all this. The pre-listing package is designed to do all the telling. When you get in front of them, it's about asking questions.
Love that, Bill. What did Aaron Kaufman say? He said, people don't care what you do, they care why you do it. Did I get that right? I think I've been working on memorizing that because I love it.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So this is about learning, everything you're learning. I know Melba does such a great job of creating engagement, and that's when you learn. That's natural learning. Natural learning is engaged learning. So when you're sitting down to learn contracts or something like that, make sure you reward yourself afterwards. If it's something that's a little drier or harder, make sure you reward yourself. And then marketing is attraction. So we want to stop chasing and we want to pull people to us. How great would that feel if your phone rang off the hook with people going, hey, I heard about you, come list my house. Hey, I heard about you, come list my house. And Markia, you asked me what the purpose of this is. The purpose of this is to make you omnipresent in the area or the people that you are sharing with. And we talked last week about how to create 100 perfect fans. You can use, this is kind of the logical next step of how to communicate with those 100 perfect fans. And if you weren't able to be on the morning huddle, you can go back and listen to that in the PC YouTube drive. So we want to make sure, so cold calling is one way to do it, but there's another way to do it, and that's attraction marketing. And that's pulling people to us. That's putting out content and showing up in a way that people are like, oh yeah, that's Lorenda. She's that agent that always posts about tips for sellers. Yeah, no, I'm going to call her because I want to sell my home. I bet she knows, right? That's what I'm talking about, and that's where we want to get to ideally. That's where when you have a big name, that happens, right? It happens with your referrals too, when you create a name of value within your sphere. Any questions about that or any comments about attraction marketing? Okay, so now we're going to talk about the power of video texting. We're going to share our successes. We could easily do what we did this morning and post, tell me something good that's happening today, right? For all your 100 perfect people. You could easily start something like that. People like to respond to questions. They like polls, right? Do you like this bathroom or this bathroom? One of the highest engagements I got was when I posted a picture of me and I said, do you like photos on business cards or not? I tend to just look at the category like roofer and then the number and go from there. So I'm not necessarily a fan of photos on business cards. I had 37 people comment back and I gave them, I said, so one is, just type in one if you think a photo should go on a business card, type in two if you think it shouldn't. Every single one of those 37 people said this photo on the business card. But 37 people responded within the space of about a week. And those are people now that I can DM and say, hey, you want me to send you my business card? Okay, so
Wait, they said yes for the photo or no for the photo?
yes for the photo, every single one of them. They had things like, some of the comments were like, it helps me to remember the person. Some of them were, it helps me to see that person and see how they're, what they look like, if they look trustworthy or not. And I'll tell you this, years ago when I was named one of Atlanta top realtors, I was in Atlanta magazine and I was there with 100 other realtors. I got a call from a woman and she said, I want you to come list my home. And when I went over there, I said, how did you select me out of all the 100 realtors? And she said, because you have a very trustworthy face. I was like, okay. So anyway, I mean, people do make decisions based on your face, right? So I guess everybody thought the photo would be a good thing. Okay, if you haven't gotten your contacts together, there's a very simple system and it start with A in your phone. Just type in A and see who comes up and then scroll through those and start video texting to them. And the video text goes something like this. Hey, Kathy, I haven't talked to you. It's been like years. Oh my goodness. What's going on with you? I would love to have a chat and catch up. I was thinking about you today and I just really thought it's been way too long. Let's set up a time when we can talk. That's all it is. That's all your video text needs to be. Pretty simple. I was thinking about you. It's been a long time, or hey, I talked to you last week, but I want to hear more about that. That's as simple as it needs to be. You can also, so when you start with A in your phone and you go through the alphabet, you'll see a lot of people. There's a lot of people in most people's phones that they haven't communicated with. Some people I can't even remember who they are, which is also another point I'd like to make, that when you enter somebody into your phone, because you don't always have, well, we do now have the command app, but sometimes it's just easier to go to the person's information, their contact information in your phone. Type some notes in about where you met them, how you know them, because you might forget. You can go to your past clients, you could go to your neighbors, you can go to contacts in business, your vendors, former colleagues, kids, sports, kids' schools, sports activities, church, temple, synagogue, community, business owners, affiliate partners and vendors. Just let people know you're updating your info and ask for birthdays, pet names and birthdays. I called, I think some of you heard the story. I called one of my past clients and I said, it's been so, because I wasn't doing DTD2 until I got to Keller Williams. And if you don't know what DTD2 is when every week we're given two initials or three initials, two for a phone call and one for a text. And so I care called this person and I said, hey, Curtis and Dare, it's been such a long time since we talked. I just wanted to check in and see what was going on with you. How are your babies? Because they have 3 dogs. And they said, well, Jasper's got something wrong with him. Well, I kept in touch with them over the course of the next 3 weeks and they ended up having to put their baby down. So I sent a sympathy card and he called me and he goes, I can't believe you did that, Candace. He goes, that meant so much to us. And I was like, well, I love animals too. They're like for those of us who don't have kids, they're like our kids. But anyway, so I wouldn't have found that out if I hadn't made the call. But for DTD2, for instance, if it's B and E, and I haven't looked what it is this week, but if it's B and E, those are the 2 people, their last names start with B and E that you call, and then you text the person with the last name that starts with P. Well, you can video text that person and still be part of DTD2, and they'll be so happy to see your face. It takes about 3 minutes to do a video text, so it's very quick, a lot quicker than a phone call. And then when I called Curtis and Dara, I was like, well, tell me about your other babies. What are their birthdays? When did you get them? And then, you know, I'm updating my information. Can you tell me what your and Dara's birthdays are? And they were like, oh yeah, it's da 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 da. So I entered it right in command. Be genuine, listen to me. Be genuine. I sound like I'm on Hee Haw. Be genuine, personalize each video, and don't ask for business. Not yet. And just repeat. Be genuine, personalize each video, and do not ask for business. Any comments or any questions so far? Anybody have any ideas? Okay. All right, time block. If you're doing your video text as your morning lead gen, it might take 15 to 20 minutes to do 10 video texts, and that's all I'm asking you to do today. Start by adding in time to respond each day as people want to get on your calendar, and make sure to add them in command and set them up on a smart plan. So you need to time block, say 20 minutes for 10 video texts, maybe 30 minutes at the max. And then you want to make sure that when people start responding back, that you gather their name and information, and they're going to call you at different times during the day. Or you can say on your video text, hey, I'll be, I'd love to talk with you. I'm in meetings all day, but I've got time between 4 and 5. Can we get something on the calendar? Can we talk then and get something on the calendar? Or text me back your availability. So then you can control that follow-up, and it's not just people calling you all day. All right, so here are some action steps. Jim Carrey wrote himself, and this is abundant mind thinking, and it's something I think a lot of us struggle with, because we tend to focus on where we've been than where we can go, right? And so our experience informs how we feel about things. And if you have never broken through that ceiling of true financial wealth, it's very hard to imagine it and make it real for ourselves. Does anybody else have that? No, just me? Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to practice abundant mind thinking. I keep saying that, abundant mindset. An abundant mindset is, here's an example. Jim Carrey wrote himself a $10 million check, and it said in the little comment section, for acting services rendered, and dated it for 1994. That was 10 years. I think this was 1984 when he wrote the check. He carried it with him for daily inspiration, and he earned that $10 million for his role in Dumb and Dumber. I mean, that's a pretty concrete way to visualize something. Our vision boards are another one. If we put on our vision board, for me, it will be a house with a house with land, a farm with a barn. When we put that on our vision board, we visualize it and it becomes more real. And then what athletes do is I remember reading about, I think it was Michael Jordan, that he visualizes himself. He'll close his eyes and meditate and visualize that he's on the court and that he's making the shot from wherever. And he visualizes the ball going in the basket, and he does it over and over and over again. He visualizes he thinks of the smells of the court. He thinks of the sound of the crowd. So he gets a whole 5 sense experience in his visualization. So if there's something that we talked about, really wanting something passionately to drive us, if there's something like that for you, visualize it with all your senses. That's what top performers do. Will Smith always said, I always knew I was an A-list actor. Y'all just didn't know it yet. So you can be walking around saying, I always knew I was a top mega agent. Y'all just didn't know it yet. So this is your kind of homework for today. Write down 3 top goals, close your eyes, and visualize what your life looks like now that you've achieved them. Okay? So you want to write that down. Write down your top 3 goals, close your eyes and visualize them, and look what your life looks like now that you have them. And do that several times during the day. I recommend you do that right before you go to bed. There's something called Pedagogic State, and that's the state right. There are 2 states. One is right when you're hovering between sleep and wakefulness, and the other is right in that ether land of I'm not quite awake, but I'm not quite asleep. And when you give yourself suggestions and visualize like you do right before you go to sleep, it goes right into your subconscious, and your subconscious works on making those things happen. So the more real you can make it for your subconscious, the better. Create a movie in your mind. Create a movie where you're the leading person, right? Dig deeper and act out scenes. Visualize yourself going on a listing appointment in a certain neighborhood. Maybe there's a house you've looked at. Has anybody in here ever read The Secret?
In what?
The Secret,
No.
the chicken soup for the soul. Bill has.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So in The Secret, one of the things that was pretty amazing to me is one of the authors, and I apologize, I've forgotten their names, but he, thanks, Heather. But one of the authors has his vision boards, right? And on the vision board was this house, and he had boxes and boxes of vision boards. Well, they were moving, and one of his kids was helping him unpack boxes, and he goes, "Look, Daddy, it's our house." And they had moved into the exact house that was on his vision board some years later. I mean, he'd totally forgotten about it, but his subconscious hadn't. That's how powerful it is. That's how powerful. These are things that we can use to help us. And I tell that story all the time about the man who got locked into a cooler section of a semi in the big refrigerated section, and he got locked in there for a weekend, and he was writing notes because he had little papers or whatever, but he was writing notes, and he was saying, "Oh, it's so cold, I'm freezing. And on the last day, he said, I think this is my last day. I'm freezing to death, and I love you." He wrote to his wife and so on and so forth. And he indeed died. And when they got into the freezer truck, they realized that the refrigerated portion had broken, and it was only 56 degrees in there. So he believed himself to death. That's how powerful our thoughts are. If I can impress upon you to, that's why talking about the good thing that happened, that shifts our mindset. This is, I don't know that I'm doing it justice, but it's very important, and I encourage you to take it seriously. In your movie, in your mind, what are you saying? What are you doing? How are you dressed? Can you hear music? Can you hear dialogue? Right? Is there a script? And then just repeat that and get more detailed. So even if you take 3 to 5 minutes a day and do that right before you go to sleep, write yourself a note and stick it on your mirror where you brush your teeth so you'll remember to do it, because part of the challenge is just remembering to do it. And then, so that's your number 1 homework. Second homework is identify 10 limiting beliefs and reframe them. If you only have 3, hey, more power to you. Wear your change your thinking bracelet, or your rubber band. And then post a video in the Roswell Rocks Facebook book sharing something you learned today. It's a check-in video. It's to get you used to doing videos. And then send out 10 video texts to people in your database and start getting comfortable using video. Any comments, any questions?
Yeah, Candace, could you put those things that were the assignment onto like maybe our WhatsApp chat or something? So
I'll post it all in the WhatsApp chat, and you can see what the action steps are.
Okay, thanks.
I'll definitely do that right after this. Anybody else have any questions, any ideas?
So I do have a quick question just to make sure. 10 videos to our text videos, 10 text videos, 3 goals and visualize, 10 limited beliefs, and then post in the Roswell Facebook. Did I get everything?
That's it. That's
Perfect. Thank
you.
you.
And the post in the Roswell Facebook book, please do a video. Please do a video saying, I learned today how important videos are, whatever you want to say. I learned today about using the bracelet for reframing my beliefs, my limiting beliefs, whatever it is you want to say, but try and make it a video, because that's, and I know if you've got a self-limiting belief about that, just make that your 10 self-limiting beliefs, say, I'm going to get this done. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Who's committed to doing this?
Lorinda.
Thanks, Lorinda.
I'm committed to doing that, Candace.
Thank you, Tracy.
I'll do it as well.
Ebony, that sounded like pulling teeth. Thank you.
I got to figure it out the better way to do it, because I've sent several video texts and no one's ever responded. So it hasn't been my best tactic there.
So here's what I'm gonna say, and this is for all of us. When we try something and it doesn't work initially, sometimes we have, I mean, my benchmark is 6 months. So when I try something for 6 months, I can start to track it, right? And see if it's working or not. This is a pretty limited investment on your time, 30 minutes. And if you do it day over day over day over day, and sometimes if you repeat those video texts to those people, they'll respond. Some people actually respond with video text, which is kind of cool. And if they don't respond, then that's okay. But I would say give it a good try. Just make it part of your daily lead gen give it at least a month. We've only got 5 days here, but I hope you'll take it on. I do it all the time. I sit in my car and do my 10 video texts. And the response I get, yeah, it's weird at first, but after a while, people are like, oh, there she is again. I better call her. And all I ever do is just love on people. But the dialogue starts, and then you can have a deeper dialogue. And then sometimes that goes into real estate and sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it goes into real estate because everybody wants to know about real estate. All right, let's talk about our one things for today, unless there's any more questions or comments. Okay, Lorinda with
just real quickly, my assistant's back and we finalized the week at a glance. So that was just sent out. There's a lot of extra stuff on there. There's a couple of SES classes. Ignite 2.0 starts this week. Lots of stuff on there. So make sure you're looking at that. There's lots of opportunity.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, well, Tracy, now you're first. Tracy, what's your one thing for today?
I'm going to follow up with those, with the contacts from my open house on Saturday. Saturday.
Good deal. Okay, Ryan, what's yours?
Yes, open house follow-up. I've got several people to call and people waiting. They want listing searches and other stuff. So it's going to be a busy day of lead generating and trying to move some things to appointments.
Okay. Ebony, what's your one thing?
I received a message on Friday from my kid's school stating that his teacher was, they were out of snacks and K-cups. So over the weekend, I bought a whole bunch of snacks and K-cups to last them through the rest of the school year. And I'm going to take it a step further and get some for every teacher in the 3rd grade class and every teacher in that school who's ever taught my child. And I'm going to put my business card on it as well.
Whoa, I love that. Fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. I cannot remember who it was in our PC group, but she actually had talked with the principal of her school, and what she said was, for every closing that I have, every transaction that I have that comes from this school, I'll give a portion back to the school for the programs.
That's Ashley Goodrich.
Ashley, and how do you know how that's going?
Well, she capped and she's on the ALC. So
So Ebony, great job. And who knows what'll come from that. Okay, Lorinda with an O.
I need to follow up over on Friday. I did pre-foreclosures and FSBO calls. And so I have 2, but I need to follow up 1 to schedule an appointment with. So that's first on the agenda today. Follow up with those.
Fantastic. Okay, Lorinda, what's your one thing?
I'm going to find an open house to do this weekend.
Good job. Okay. Kathy McLean.
Follow up with my buyer.
Good job. Okay. And Jenny?
I've got some people I need to follow up with.
And I think, Bill, did I miss anybody?
I've basically just got coaching sessions back to back, but my plan is to set 2 appointments today.
And I've got coaching. My one thing is coaching back to back to back to back. and one external. Thank you all for being on here. I'll be excited to hear that you did the action steps. And I'd be excited to hear any questions or comments you have. Just give me a call, okay? Or Bill.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you all.
Great job. See you soon.
Thanks, Candace.